Tanya Brooks arrived at the daycare with the kind of urgency that lived in her bones. Not frantic. She refused to be frantic in public, but urgent in that steady, controlled way that came from being a parent, being a black woman, and knowing that one small accusation could turn into a label that followed you. Late. Unreliable. Problem. She wasn't late. She knew she wasn't late because Tanya tracked time like it was a second job. Her calendar alerts, her commute buffer, the leave now reminders that popped up 10 minutes before she actually had to leave. She had those systems because the world rarely offered grace, and she couldn't afford to depend on it. Today had already been tight. A last-minute meeting ran long. A coworker asked just one more question at 4:56. Like Tanya didn't have a child who needed picking up. Tanya smiled, wrapped it up professionally, and left anyway, because she'd learned that if you waited for permission to have a life, you'd never get it. She pulled into Bright Steps Daycare at 5:27 p.m. Pickup cutoff was 5:30. She had 3 minutes to spare. The parking lot looked like it always did at the end of the day. Minivans in diagonal lines, a few parents hustling, a toddler crying in the arms of a white dad who looked like he hadn't slept since 2019. The building itself was cheerful on purpose. Painted sunflowers, a banner that said, "Learning is fun," like joy could be mandated. Tanya grabbed her tote, locked her car, and walked fast but not rushed. She refused to look panicked. Panicked people got treated like problems. At the front door was the access panel Bright Steps had installed last year, a little black keypad with a glass sensor and a green light. Parents tapped in with a code, the lock clicked, and the door recorded every entry. For safety, they said. For accountability, they said. Tanya tapped her code. The panel beeped. The light flashed green. The door clicked open. She stepped inside. The lobby smelled like disinfectant and graham crackers. A bulletin board displayed finger paintings and laminated reminders. Label your child's items. No outside food. Late fees apply after 5:30. A small clock above the desk showed 5:28. Tanya noticed that clock immediately and felt a tiny internal exhale. She wasn't late. At the checkout desk stood a white woman with a smooth blonde bob and a tight smile. Tanya had seen her before, never in the classroom, always at the front, always in charge of the rules. Her name tag read, Kelsey, front office. Kelsey was flipping through a binder as if she'd been waiting for a reason to be annoyed. Tanya approached with a polite, calm expression. "Hi, I'm here for Maya Brooks." Kelsey didn't return the greeting. She looked up and down Tanya quickly. Clothes, bag, face, then looked at the clock like it was evidence. "You're late," Kelsey said. The sentence landed heavy and blunt, like it had been prepared. Tanya blinked once. "I'm not. It's 5:28. Kelsey's lips pressed into a thin line. "Pickup is 5:30, but you have to be signed out by 5:30. You know that." Tanya kept her voice even. "I'm here before 5:30. I just walked in." Kelsey slid the binder toward herself like she was closing a case file. "You were not here. We were about to call your emergency contact." Tanya felt heat rise in her chest, anger mixed with disbelief. She didn't let it show. "Please don't," Tanya said steadily. "I'm literally standing here." Kelsey's eyes narrowed, and Tanya recognized that look, the look of someone who didn't like being corrected. "Well," Kelsey said, "we have policies." Tanya nodded carefully. "I'm aware. I follow them. That's why I'm here on time." Kelsey tapped a pen against the binder. "We've had issues with parents arriving at the last minute and acting like it doesn't count." Tanya stared at her. "It does count. I'm here." Kelsey's smile tightened. "The staff had to stay with Maya. We were ready to close." Tanya's stomach tightened. It was always framed like Tanya was asking for something extra when she was asking for normal. She took a slow breath. "Can you please have Maya brought out? I'm ready to sign her out." Kelsey didn't move. "There will be a late fee." Tanya's eyes narrowed. "On what basis?" Kelsey lifted her chin. "On the basis that we were past pickup." Tanya's voice stayed calm but sharpened. "We are not past pickup. The clock says 5:28. Kelsey glanced at the clock again, then looked back at Tanya with a coolness that felt deliberate. "Our system shows you weren't here." The way she said "our system" made it sound like the system was a judge and Tanya was a defendant. Tanya held Kelsey's gaze. "Then your system is wrong." Kelsey's eyes flicked briefly toward the hallway, toward the classrooms, then back. "Or someone is." Tanya felt her fingers curl around her tote strap. That sentence was an accusation without the courage to be direct. She could feel the lobby shift around them. A white dad waiting near the cubbies glanced over. A white mom tying her kid's shoes paused, listening without pretending not to. Tanya hated that part. The audience, the silent judgment, the way being questioned became public. Tanya kept her tone steady. "I entered the building at 5:28. I can show you my phone clock, but you can also check your door access system." Kelsey's eyebrows lifted slightly. "Excuse me." "The door panel logs entry times," Tanya said. "If you believe I'm late, pull the access log. It will show when my code was used." Kelsey's expression changed, just a fraction. Surprise, then irritation. Like Tanya had used a word she wasn't supposed to know. "We don't provide those logs," Kelsey said quickly. "I'm not asking you to provide them," Tanya replied. "I'm asking you to check them, for accuracy." Kelsey's voice cooled. "Ma'am, I'm telling you, staff were waiting." Tanya didn't let the label ma'am push her backward. "Then it will be easy to confirm. If the log shows I came in after 5:30, charge me. If it shows I came in before 5:30, there's no late fee and no accusation." Kelsey's cheeks flushed faintly. "You don't get to tell us how to run our office." Tanya's jaw tightened. "And you don't get to accuse me of being late when I'm standing here on time." The dad near the cubbies looked away quickly, suddenly fascinated by a coat hook. The mom kept tying the shoe, but slower now. Kelsey pressed her lips together, then reached for a small desk phone. Her voice became sweet, sweet the way people get when they want an authority figure. "Dana," she said into the phone, "can you come to the front? I have a situation at checkout." A situation. Tanya felt the word like a hand on the back of her neck. She didn't move. She didn't raise her voice. She kept her posture relaxed, because she knew how quickly firm could be twisted into aggressive. A minute later, footsteps came down the hall. A white woman in her 40s appeared, brown hair pulled back, cardigan, staff badge clipped to her waist. "Dana." Director Dana's eyes went from Kelsey to Tanya, assessing. Not hostile, but cautious, like she didn't want trouble in her lobby. "What's going on?" Dana asked. Kelsey spoke fast, shaping the story before Tanya could. "She's late for pickup, and she's refusing the late fee." Tanya felt her chest tighten. The framing was always the same. You're the problem first, facts second. Tanya spoke calmly, directly to Dana. "I'm not late. I entered at 5:28. Kelsey is saying your system shows I wasn't here, so I asked her to check the door access log. It records entry timestamps." Dana's expression flickered. Recognition. She knew the log existed. Kelsey's eyes sharpened. "We can't just pull security logs whenever someone wants." Tanya didn't look at Kelsey. She kept her eyes on Dana. "I don't want it. I need it because I'm being charged and accused based on a claim that isn't true." Dana inhaled slowly, then looked at the clock. 5:29 now. She looked back at Tanya. "You're saying you came in at 5:28. Yes, Tanya said, and the door panel will confirm it. Dana's jaw tightened slightly. She turned to Kelsey. Did you check the access entry record? Kelsey hesitated, a tiny pause that said too much. We don't usually, Kelsey started. Dana cut her off, firm. Check it. Kelsey's face stiffened. Dana. Now, Dana repeated. Kelsey turned to her computer with sharp, irritated movements. Click, click. A password typed too hard. Tanya stood still, heart pounding, not from fear exactly, more from the sheer effort of insisting on reality in a place that wanted to rewrite it. Dana watched the screen over Kelsey's shoulder. Kelsey clicked into another window. Her posture tightened. Tanya saw it, the moment the story started slipping out of Kelsey's control. Kelsey's voice came out smaller. It's loading. Dana leaned closer. Read it. Kelsey swallowed. It shows. The clock ticked to 5:30. The lobby felt like it held its breath. Kelsey stared at the screen like she wanted it to change. Dana's tone sharpened. Kelsey. Kelsey finally spoke, tight and reluctant. It shows door access at 5:28. Code Brooks. Tanya felt a wave of relief and anger at the same time. Relief because she was right. Anger because she'd had to prove something so simple. Dana's eyes stayed on the screen for another beat. Then she turned to Tanya. Ms. Brooks, Dana said, voice calmer now. I apologize. You were on time. There will be no late fee. Tanya nodded once. Thank you. Kelsey's mouth tightened, and she didn't look at Tanya. Dana turned to Kelsey, voice low but unmistakably serious. Bring Maya up. Now. Kelsey stood abruptly and disappeared down the hall. The lobby shifted again, parents pretending not to watch, but absorbing everything. Tanya stood tall, breathing slowly, feeling the weight of the moment settle in her chest. Because it wasn't just about a late fee. It was about how quickly Kelsey had decided Tanya was the kind of parent who would lie. The kind of parent who needed to be threatened with emergency contacts and policy language. The access log hadn't just proved a time. It had exposed an assumption, and Tanya knew this wouldn't be the last time she'd need proof just to be treated like she belonged in the same building as everyone else. Footsteps returned, and Maya appeared, small backpack, pink hair clip, sleepy eyes, holding Kelsey's hand. Maya spotted Tanya and brightened instantly. Mommy! Tanya's face softened. Everything in her body shifted toward her child like a magnet. Hey, baby, Tanya said, kneeling slightly so Maya could crash into her arms. I'm here. Dana cleared her throat gently. We'll have you sign out, and you're all set. Tanya stood, one arm around Maya, and looked at Dana calmly. I'd like a note in Maya's file that today's pickup was on time and verified by the access log. Dana blinked, then nodded. That's reasonable. Tanya didn't smile. She didn't apologize for asking. She simply held her ground. Because the door access system had done what her voice should have done from the start. Confirmed the truth. Maya's little arms wrapped tight around Tanya's waist, and Tanya felt her body soften instinctively, shoulders dropping, jaw unclenching. The warmth of her child was grounding in a way nothing else was. But Tanya didn't forget what had just happened. The director, Dana, had apologized. The late fee had been removed. Everyone was suddenly polite again. Yet Tanya could still feel the residue of the accusation in the room, like a smell that didn't disappear just because someone opened a window. Kelsey returned from the hallway with that stiff, professional face people wore when they'd been corrected and didn't like it. She didn't look at Tanya directly. She placed the sign-out clipboard on the counter with a little more force than necessary. Sign here, Kelsey said. Tanya adjusted Maya on her hip and stepped to the counter. She took the pen and signed with slow, deliberate strokes because she refused to be rushed now. She refused to be treated like she should feel guilty for taking up time she was entitled to. Kelsey's eyes flicked to the clock again. 5:31. Tanya noticed, and it made her stomach tighten. Kelsey wanted the clock to matter again, wanted a new angle. Dana cleared her throat, then spoke to Tanya in a voice meant to calm the situation. "Again, Miss Brooks, I'm sorry for the confusion." Tanya nodded, calm. "I appreciate you checking." Dana gave a small nod back. "We rely on the system, and sometimes it—" Tanya cut in gently, without raising her voice. The system wasn't the problem. Dana's expression froze slightly. "Excuse me?" Tanya kept her voice steady and quiet, but it carried. "The system logged my entry at 5:28. The system was accurate. The problem was that I was told I was late before anyone checked." The lobby went still in that subtle way, parents pretending not to listen while listening harder. Dana's mouth tightened a fraction, the way people react when a conversation moves from mistake to accountability. Kelsey's posture stiffened. Dana offered a careful smile. "Kelsey may have misunderstood." Tanya shook her head once. "She didn't misunderstand. She said your system showed I wasn't here. Then she refused to check the one system that would confirm it." Kelsey's cheeks flushed. "I didn't refuse. I said we don't share security logs." Tanya met her eyes now, calm but firm. "I didn't ask you to share anything. I asked you to verify before accusing me." Maya shifted on Tanya's hip and pressed her cheek against Tanya's shoulder, half asleep, trusting. That trust sharpened Tanya's resolve. Because this wasn't just about Tanya's pride. It was about what got written into records. Late pickups at daycares mattered. They could become fees, warnings, even reports if staff wanted to paint a pattern. Tanya had seen it happen to another mother at a different center years ago. Tiny incidents stacked into something that looked like neglect to people who didn't care about context. Tanya wasn't going to let that happen to her. Dana's tone stayed polite but cooler. "I understand you're upset." Tanya nodded. "I am, and I want this documented correctly." Dana's eyes flicked briefly to the parents behind Tanya, then back. "We already said there's no late fee." Tanya's voice remained measured. "A late fee isn't the only consequence. I asked for a note in Maya's file stating pickup was on time and verified by the door log. I want that done today." Dana paused, then nodded slowly. "Okay, that's fine." Kelsey's mouth tightened. "We don't usually put—" Dana turned her head slightly, and her tone sharpened just enough to end the debate. "We will." Kelsey went quiet. Tanya breathed in slowly, letting herself feel the small victory. Not a win over Kelsey, but protection for her child. Then a man's voice came from the hallway behind the front desk. "Everything okay up here?" A uniformed white security guard stepped into the lobby. He was in his 40s, broad-shouldered, radio on his chest, the kind of presence daycares use to signal order. His badge read, "Security, Phil." Phil's eyes went first to Tanya, lingering a little too long, then to Dana, then to Kelsey. Dana forced a smile. "Yes, Phil, we're fine." Phil didn't leave. He stayed planted near the desk, posture subtly blocking the path toward the hallway, as if Tanya might suddenly charge the staff room. Tanya felt her stomach twist. It was the same old equation. Disagreement plus black parent equals security. Tanya kept her voice calm, but there was steel under it now. "Why is security here?" Phil's eyebrows lifted slightly. "Just making sure everyone's safe." Tanya nodded once. "Is anyone unsafe?" Phil didn't answer directly. "We've got policies about conflict," Dana cut in quickly, voice brighter. "Phil, it's handled. Miss Brooks is signing out." Phil's gaze stayed on Tanya anyway. Maya stirred slightly, and looked over Tanya's shoulder with sleepy curiosity. Tanya tightened her hold, protective. Tanya turned fully toward Phil, posture straight, voice steady. "I'm picking up my child. I haven't raised my voice. I haven't threatened anyone. So what exactly are you making sure of?" Phil's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, you don't need to get worked up." Tanya froze. That phrase, that framing. Worked up. She hadn't been worked up until someone implied she was dangerous. Dana stepped forward, hands slightly raised in a calming gesture. "Okay, everyone. Let's just—" Tanya didn't let Dana smooth it over. She stayed calm, but she refused to shrink. "I want it documented," Tanya said, still looking at Dana. "That my pickup was on time and confirmed by the access log. And I want it documented that security was called while I was calmly disputing a late fee that was incorrectly applied." Dana's eyes widened. "Security wasn't called," Phil shifted. "I heard there was an issue." Tanya's gaze snapped to Kelsey. "Did you call security?" Kelsey's face hardened. "I notified the director." Tanya nodded slowly. "And someone told security there was a problem." Dana's expression tightened into something uncomfortable. She looked like she wished this could disappear. But Tanya had learned, if you let the uncomfortable thing disappear, it comes back later as your fault. Dana exhaled slowly. "Ms. Brooks, we can add a note that the access log confirms entry at 5:28. Tanya nodded. "Good. And I want the log entry referenced." Dana hesitated. "We can't put security system details in." Tanya kept her voice even. "Then write, entry confirmed by door access record at 5:28 p.m. That's not sensitive. That's a fact." Dana paused, then nodded. "Okay." Phil remained where he was, still watching. Tanya didn't look away from Dana. "And," Tanya added, "I want a copy of that note sent to my email." Dana blinked. "We don't usually—" Tanya's tone stayed polite but unwavering. "Then this can be the first time, because this isn't usual. I was accused of being late when I was not. And I'm not leaving Maya's record open to interpretation." Silence sat in the lobby. A parent behind Tanya cleared their throat softly. Another parent looked down at their phone, suddenly very interested in scrolling. Dana's face shifted. She was weighing effort against risk, image against truth. Finally, Dana nodded. "All right. Kelsey, pull up Maya's file, add the note, and email it to Ms. Brooks." Kelsey's eyes flashed, but she obeyed. Her fingers moved on the keyboard, tight and irritated. Tanya watched her type. She couldn't see the screen clearly, but she saw the act of it, documentation happening in real time. Phil spoke again, lower. "This is a lot for a few minutes." Tanya turned her head toward him, calm as ice. "It's a lot because it should have been simple." Phil's mouth tightened. He looked away, finally, as if realizing he didn't have a clean reason to stand there. Dana glanced at Phil. "Thank you, Phil. We're okay." Phil hesitated, then stepped back toward the hallway, radio crackling quietly as he retreated. Not an apology, just an exit. Kelsey printed something from the desk printer. The paper slid out with a mechanical whir. She tore it off and handed it to Dana. Dana scanned it quickly, then looked at Tanya. "This is the note we added," Dana said, "and we'll email you a copy." Tanya took the paper. It read, "Pickup concern reviewed. Parent entered building prior to cutoff. Entry confirmed by door access record at 5:28 p.m. No late fee assessed." Tanya felt her chest loosen slightly, not because the note was perfect, but because it existed. "Thank you," Tanya said. Dana nodded, voice softer now. "Again, I'm sorry this happened." Tanya held her gaze. "I need you to understand something," Tanya said quietly. When I'm told I'm late when I'm not, it's not just annoying. It can become a record. It can become a story. And I don't get the benefit of the doubt the way some parents do. Dana's eyes flickered. Discomfort, recognition, maybe guilt. Kelsey stared at her keyboard like it was suddenly fascinating. Tanya shifted Maya higher on her hip. Maya yawned and rested her head on Tanya's shoulder again. Tanya's voice stayed calm. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for fair treatment. Check the log before you accuse. Dana nodded slowly. You're right. Tanya didn't press further. She didn't need Dana to confess to bias. She needed the process changed, even slightly. She turned toward the door. As she walked out, the keypad panel blinked green again when another parent entered. The system logged their code, their time, their presence. Tanya stepped into the evening air and inhaled deeply. In the car, Maya buckled into her seat. Tanya checked her phone. An email arrived from Brightsteps. Subject, pickup note, Maya Brooks. Inside, the exact note Dana promised, time-stamped. Tanya stared at it for a moment, then saved it. Because in a world where people could rewrite your story with a single assumption, sometimes the only protection you had was a record that refused to forget. And tonight, for once, the record was on her side.